pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a moment of silent prayer. Amen. Okay, it is Tuesday evening, April 7th, or 2nd. We're in the Municipal Center. Can I have roll call, please?
Yes, Scott Markey.
Here.
Susan Webster. Here. Whoops.
Are you here or not here?
I'm not really here.
Mercury in retrograde. It's just showing up
Is
on
that,
the-
is it?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay. Elizabeth Skinner. Here. Mary Lynn Hickey.
I believe so,
I
yes.
believe so. Okay, Rebecca McLeod.
Here.
Greg Sheen.
Present.
And Tom Hall. All right.
Good deal.
They're pretty much here.
Yep. We'll see how much in here in a little while. Can we have the review of our council meeting, the 19th of March, and also the special meeting we had? Good. I looked at the special meeting the other day. Everything looked good. Is everybody good with everything?
Yes.
Everything good? Common consent? Okay.
We've had about 15 sets of minutes this month.
Yeah, you had a lot. Okay, we'll move on. We have persons before council. Karen Wisner.
She is not here due
Okay.
to the inclement weather. She has some flooding in her basement.
Okay.
She lives in Caton, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not here.
Okay. Pete isn't here because he's got water issues and stuff going on, power out. So
And
he
his
was
hollow.
going to speak to us about the park down there and also about inviting us to a ribbon cutting ceremony.
Yes.
What date was that? Do you remember?
He said it would be April 19th.
April 19th.
He will be sending some sort of email. That
To
way
the
you all
council
may
members.
see it.
Okay.
Yes. With a
All
formal
right.
invitation.
Okay, well, then we'll move on with communications from Mayor. We've got the Warm Springs Watershed Stream Cleanup and Make It Shine this weekend. It's going to be the 6th from,
Not us.
well, from 9 a.m. Well, that's how they got it here, but it's
Yeah.
Town of
That's
Bath
the
Make It Shine.
Mhm.
And it's from 9 a.m. and looks like we're doing you're going to be doing the cemetery
Cemetery
and I guess,
in the town generally.
right, the town
And
general.
it's from 9 to 12.
So, and then we're going to have the Warm Springs Watershed's going to be doing it on Friday and Saturday, April 12th, Friday, and Saturday, April 13th at the North Berkeley Park, 522 Jimstown Road, right?
Right,
Okay.
so some people will be in the water and some people will be on the banks. And we are encouraging people, and you've got a message in your books, to reserve ahead so that they can get an assignment. So we know whether they've got waders and they want to get in the water.
All right. So anybody that can help this weekend at 9 a.m., are you going to have them come here first to sign waivers and stuff? Or how are you
If
going
they're
to do that?
cleaning, if they're gonna be cleaning through the town, then they would come here. You're gonna be here,
Yes.
Brianna. Come here to town hall to get your gloves and your bags and your sign a waiver. If you're going to be working in the cemetery, especially for children, then you go to Greenway to the shed, and I'll be there with the same thing, materials and waivers. And we'll get our work done.
Good deal. Well,
And the rain date is the following Saturday for the town and the cemetery.
13th,
time.
right?
But I think the weather's looking pretty good now.
Yeah, after all this rain, absolutely. Okay, also happening this weekend, we're gonna have the ribbon cutting and bell ringing for the farmer's market starting on Sunday, the 7th. Woo-hoo! It all starts, so that's a good thing. It looks like a plant fair parking request. We got a parking request from the plant fair. They want to close off some parking spaces and stuff.
They just want three spaces.
Just 3 spaces? Is that what it was? I thought they requested out front too, but maybe that wasn't it.
One loading and unloading.
3 parking spaces on Fairfax Street adjacent to the park, and perhaps 1 as an area for unloading and loading plants. So
On Fairfax.
on Fairfax. So anyway, we usually let them use that with the plant fair every year. They've been doing it, oh my gosh, as long as I can remember. So I would entertain a motion that we could go ahead and accept or, let them use them, but
And they also want some parking at the train station for the vendors.
right.
which
And
is
we
fine.
usually normally do that so they got places to park. So.
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to let the plant fair that's coming this weekend use 3 spaces on Fairfax and 1 to unload and load, and also parking for their vendors at the train depot. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll let them know that they can do that. Okay, so we got that done. Looks like we have another letter in here about outdoor dining. I think it was down here at the brewery. So I think he's requesting to have tables out front of his business.
I believe he already has the tables out there. I believe it was for so he could sell alcoholic beverages.
Outside.
remember.
Yes, that's
Outside.
exactly what it was for.
The letter says Cape Brewing, and I think it's Cape Mountain.
It's
At least that's what my
it's
browser
Cape
says.
Brewery. Is it
The
Cape?
Cape Mountain.
It's Cape Mountain Brewing. Okay.
I can revise that.
But he's on William Street, and he needs our approval so that he can send it in for his liquor license.
Right.
So
So moved? Second.
have a motion second on the floor to give Cape Mountain Brewery Company permission to have outside tables for his alcohol license. Is that what the motion's gonna be? Does that sound about right? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
We just wait to sign this until it's corrected, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
We gotta get the official on there so it goes to him. All right, let's see. Approval of Uniquely West Virginia event on the 27th. I guess we have another letter in here.
No, I don't think it's a letter, I think it's just a,
Request.
It's a letter.
Request.
is it a, oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's like an endorsement, basically.
Okay.
Uniquely West
See.
Virginia, that's it?
Yes.
Council will appreciate time up in the project. And
No, the DEA, I think you're just talking about that. The uniquely West Virginia.
Right,
Yeah, Betsy Keith is heading that up. It's really well done.
right. So what are they asking us for? Just to let
They
me
need to have
inform
it.
us?
They need to send that in to the tourism board, and that allows them some
Okay.
designations.
This is the food and wine.
Mhm.
This one here just needs my signature, so looks like they're looking to, for us to give our authorization, so,
No, common consent.
common consent that I can
Yeah.
sign that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we got that,
There it is.
and the chief's gonna talk about this other one, and we haven't heard anything about this one, so let's move forward then. The Bath Development Authority, I don't have anybody here. Their next meeting is tomorrow at 4:30 at the courthouse. They're also gonna be doing Zoom or in person. Parks and Recs, they were here the last time. Their next meeting's 4/17 at 7 p.m. at the courthouse. Planning Commission, Larry's not here.
They're not having any meetings this month.
They're not having a meeting yet. I see they went to 5. The next meeting's gonna be May 9th at 5 p.m. Rails Trails.
Okay, I updated the status that I couldn't get last week. And it was pretty the same as what I guessed. They're still working on it. They don't have a date. And they're sort of fussing over the bridges and the schedule to buy the bridges. It's still an internal task for the procurement crowd down there in Charleston. The one thing that I talked to Mark, the one thing they did do is acknowledge the fact that the clock is running on the town's VRP, voluntary remediation project. And they kind of understand that. I mean, I threw out on the table, maybe you saw it, the fact that if this gets real sticky, the town might be willing to take over the remediation of parcel 1A as long as it came along with money.
Bring it on.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all on the table now. It hasn't been spoken, but I figured I'd just throw that into the room because we know we can do it.
Right.
You know, and we know we need to do it. And the VRP, I think the timetable is either gone or anyway. So that's it. And I'm unlikely to hold another task force meeting this month because I'm too busy leaving town.
Okay.
All right, on the streetscape, start with that. We had our end of month conference call last week with Josh and Kyle and Jeff Gola. Those things work. DOH is right on the verge of still trying to make the May 9th letting date. They have to wait for the federal thumbs up. I did talk about if they get that date, what's the contract end date? And it's looking more like mid-October. They add pad to these things, which I didn't get off of the workflow plan that Jeff Gola sent. If it slips to the June 11th letting, then it's mid-November. So we'll just have to do a pause for apple butter. I think Rebecca came up with something is we get them to work on Independence Street first, because that's downtown.
Right.
And then Wilk Street comes second. And they'll have to move people to do it anyway.
Right.
So that's up in the air. It's up in the air. And then the third thing is the state park. On April 11th, we have a meeting with the deputy chief inspector of the Department of Environmental Protection in Romney at 1:00. We are preparing for that. Basically, at some point, I'll leave this to Rebecca to determine how to do this. We'll discuss what it is we're going to say. I'm adjusting it now to make it more pointed as opposed to just a story. I sent the basic documents, the timeline and the flow of requirements that covered this project down to the two gentlemen at the District 5 who were senior folks on the project. We've heard nothing from them for all the other times I tried to get them. And I think what Rebecca says is they generally don't answer. On the 11th, I believe they're going to have to answer. Now, the town needs to invite them.
Yeah, we probably should send a letter to Ryan and his supervisor.
Yes,
What was his name?
Daniel Watts,
Daniel Watts at District
District
5.
5.
They're right down the road. There's no reason that they shouldn't be there. And since they were responsible and they were notified, they need to be there. So the town is I'm asking the town send them a letter requesting their presence at this meeting on the 11th.
Okay.
You want me to write the letter?
Yeah.
You'll have it tomorrow. They've already been warned. They have a fairly long couple of documents over. What I chose to do was follow what is done with aircraft accidents with the National Transportation Safety Board. The first thing they do is they build a timeline of what exactly happened. And the second thing that's done is what is the requirements flow? What should have happened? I've got separate documents for that. That's what went down to District 5. Anybody reading that can pretty much be sure how we're going to come at them
Right.
in the response, but it doesn't have our response. But let's face it, it isn't hard to detect what it is. So, and I think, I mean, I'm ready. I'll get there to the meeting after some other medical things in the morning. It's a trick. So
Karen
that's,
and I are gonna leave early so that we can go meet Christy Hicks.
Okay.
Talk to her a little bit about.
So you got it. Nobody from council needs to go. You think?
If you wanna go, I'm definitely going, but if you wanna be there, you're the final decision maker, so. I'm happy to have you.
The 11th.
And anybody else who wants to show up, it's gonna be, I don't anticipate the meeting is going to be that long,
Right.
well,
it's wrong.
it's, you know, we've got some questions we want answered. DOH will see those questions. I told them this before the meeting, and DEP should see the questions before the meeting because they're fairly simple
Yes.
to answer. Either it happened or it didn't. So,
All right.
not that I'm being
Yeah,
So let us
blinded.
know.
I'll plan on
Let Sharon-
going.
okay.
We need to, because Sharon's off this week,
I already
get
talked to her
that
about it.
letter wrote so we
Yeah.
can get it out because
Yeah, I'll
that's
write it
next
out.
Thursday.
You can put it in thing, and all we got to do
Time
is
is that?
I'll give you the
Is
email
that-
addresses.
One
It's
o'clock.
real easy as long as you got his signature.
All
It's
right.
gonna be simple,
I'll have
one
to go back
page.
to
But
the
No
an
attachments.
hour over.
Sounds
I'll
good.
probably drive my vehicle because I'm gonna have to go to Martinsburg then, so, for Charlestown. So, okay.
All right.
All right.
Pete, I have a question. What were all those big blocks of bricks that are cemented together that I came across in the park?
They're two like,
Fabricated
squares?
rip wrap.
Plats?
are there two of them?
Yeah.
Those were the samples for the park's approval of different ways of colorizing and stamping them with the brick-like thing.
Maybe we can use
And the-
that for the monument.
And the
Yeah, I was just,
the
they
park
look like
wanted-
someone might
park-
have uprooted them. from
park
something.
wanted to keep them, to put something on eventually. You know,
Maybe the stage.
yeah, it is, whatever, but they asked for it, and that
Okay,
was left in the closure agreement with the Lauder.
Now,
understood.
the water hasn't been back yet,
No,
and they still have some work to do.
yeah,
on
there's
the
some work to
asphalt.
recover the vegetation and things like that. And
We
I still got
should be
the,
seeing them
I've
soon.
spent time more on the violation of erosion and sediment control than I have on the punch list. I'll
Yeah.
let
But that's
DOH,
something that we can talk to DOH.
DOH owns that.
Pete, do you
Thank
want to do mausoleum while you're standing?
Yeah, well, I
Yeah, we
can't.
can move cemetery up if you want.
Oh, yeah, because I need to get out of here, for other reasons. I worked with Jeff Gola to decide how do we help this project to become as successful as it can be. And what we agreed is rather than try do it, inspect it, the Boeing way, what we'll do, that we're going to get together. We'd offered a meeting, a couple hours, and I'm now collecting dates for it. I'm trying to do this before the middle of April. To Jeff, Gola, myself, and Mark would meet there, and we would go over each of the steps to help him understand what's expected here. How do you need to do this? And let him ask questions. You know, it's supposed to be a two-way street. So I put out a call to both of those gentlemen yesterday or whatever I did it to give me some dates, and I gave them some dates when I'm available. So we'll see what happens. I'll wait a few days and try again. Then start calling. So the idea is to make this successful the way we wanted it and not get into the he said, she said kind of stuff and help him. The point is help him. Listen to what's your problem with this? How can we fix that before it happens?
Right.
Not like Boeing.
All right, any
So
questions
it's,
for
it's
Pete?
moving forward.
Yeah. Any more questions for Pete? Okay, thank you, Pete.
All right.
Thank you,
Good work
sir.
as always. Train Depot?
Okay, we are still planning on having a music events at the depot with Ross Martin being the entertainer. He does a railroad show. And he hopes to, well, we are planning at this point to have the third full weekend of every month as the Friday and Saturday evening, Ross will do his show in there. I have sent in an application to the fire marshal for limits on capacity of the building. And our committee is looking over the town's insurance policy to make sure we're all good with that and, good in case anything happens. Ross really is a wonderful asset with this because he brings along people to help work the show and do admission and all like this. What we're planning as far as admission is the same admission that the Morgan Arts Council charged for Ross's show there, which is $15 for adults, I think, $8 for children, and then a student admission for students. But just splitting it with him actually, doing the work, we will have to find chairs. And so we're looking for chairs even to borrow for those weekends. But the third weekends of May, June, July, August, and September is our plan. He also plans on going to the next Morgan Arts Council meeting and talking to them about them helping kind of sponsor the events or, to help them with their program of getting arts out into the community and partnering with them and asking them to help market. We'd also like Travel Berkeley Springs to help us market these shows. And I think they'd be really nice and interesting for tourists and then just another thing to do. And we'll show people that we can do these things there. So that's what we're working on. Our next meeting is April the 18th at 4 p.m. So moving along.
Okay. All right, Landmarks Commission. There's nobody here. Clerk and Recorder's report. Did she leave you anything?
Nothing at
Okay.
this time.
And reporter, you got anything?
We did have the application for use of town property. We had that at the Finance Committee, and we talked a little bit about it. I think it's early yet for Christmas and like this, so we're, going to work on some details with the promoter of this project, Christmas project, which we do generally think will be beautiful and want to work with it. But, there's more details to work out, and I'm sure that she's on it and we'll be on it too. So that's the application for use property. We didn't make any kind of decisions other than we're all favorable. Okay.
Continuing that conversation.
Yes, we are.
Okay, anything else?
No?
Okay, let's move on and pay some bills. Finance.
Okay. The Town of Bath bills, make a motion that we approve the Town of Bath bills in the amount of $2,805.34.
Second.
I have a motion, a second on the floor to pay the Town of Bath bills in the amount of $2,805.34.
That's not very much.
No, it's
Did you
not.
find them all? Did you?
Well, there were some I didn't add because Sharon will have to make a budget revision. So
Okay.
that'll be on the next.
Okay.
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 Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Now make a motion that we pay the Berkeley Springs Water Works bills in the amount of $16,630.74.
I have a motion and second on the floor to pay the Berkeley Springs water bills in the amount of $16,630.74. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
I make a motion that we pay the Greenway Cemetery bills in the amount of $81.65.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to pay the Greenway Cemetery bills in the amount of $81.65. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
I make a motion that we pay the Train Depot bills in the amount of $151.83.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to pay the Train Depot bills in the amount of $151.83. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything else for finance?
Heck, no.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on down to tree board.
I have two things, one to report and one I want clarification before I begin. In terms of reporting, the tree board did submit bills and in-kind. It was mostly donations to the Division of Forestry 2 weeks ago, maybe, and to repay approximately $9,000 of the Demonstration City grant. And Bob Hanna said he was going to make certain that we were reimbursed within a month rather than the 6 to 8 months it took recently. And I believe that that grant will be completed and ready for total reimbursement, or the remaining reimbursement, by mid-May, early June at the latest.
Right.
Very good. And there's another grant that the tree board is exploring. I think I wanted to share some information about it and get your advice on how to proceed. Am I on the agenda for that?
The agreement for the,
No.
For another grant.
we got the NRCS funding grant and an agreement.
No, that's Rebecca's thing.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be
Well, this
an approval, you're just providing
I'm not-
information.
I'm just providing information and seeking
That's fine.
advice as to how to proceed.
Okay.
Oops. This is a federal grant that the Division of Forestry is offering. And it is a grant without any match. It is to be used in areas that are considered to be impoverished. The deadline for the deadline for submission is, I don't know if it's the 20th or the 31st of May.
I think
So,
it's May 31st.
so we're working pretty far in advance. I wanted to give you a basic idea of what the proposal is. And I would like to arrange to meet with both finance and grants before we actually get permission to send the grant in. So this is a project in the new section of Greenway Cemetery. As you know, it's a very steep hill, very fragile soil. 95% of the surface is covered by turf, which is not good for stormwater management. And over the last decade, the town has worked with various organizations to put in a number of green stormwater management plans. And at this point, a fairly large percentage of the stormwater runoff is slowed, captured, filtered, and a lesser amount of water is then released into the run. So that reduces flooding downstream, reduces flooding in the town of Bath. And over the past 2 years, the bypass construction has resulted in the removal of, I think it's over 300 acres of trees, very significant areas of ground cover. And there has been a concern since the beginning what potential impact that this could have on flooding, and particularly flooding in the town of Bath. Fortunately, there are further opportunities to improve the green stormwater best management projects, both in the new cemetery, and that's what we're going to apply for in this case. The tree board is seeking permission to apply for an EquiTree grant to address the enhanced risk of flooding in town due to land disturbances in the upper watershed. Applicants can apply for up to $50,000 to be used over a 2-year period. No match is required. While expenses are reimbursed upon the completion of the project, the urban coordinator for the Division of Forestry has said the tree board can submit the bills that are paid every 4 months or so and be repaid so that we don't end up with having the town carry a large amount of money. The urban coordinator has been helpful in terms of putting together this bill proposal. And his recommendation is that rather than going for the approximately $20,000 to $25,000 that I see being budgeted for this, that we apply for a one-year grant of under $10,000, and then we apply the second year for a grant that's also under $10,000. And the chief advantage in doing this is if you have a grant application that is more than $10,000, you need to get bids. Now, should the town feel they'd rather go ahead with a larger grant for 2 years, there's still plenty of time to get bids. So that's part of the,
Is that the main determinant, Kate, of wanting to go keep it under 10,000 is? the
not having to
beautification?
get bids.
Right, okay,
But as I say, there's plenty of time to get bids.
understood.
So there's a map on the front of the paper I handed out. Between the rain garden and the maintenance shed, there's a low-lying area that is too wet to use for burials. And I must say, I presented this basic proposal to cemetery. This is not the first time the cemetery is hearing this. The tree board proposes to plant what's known as a tiny forest of 30 trees and 9 understory shrubs in that area. And the leaves of the trees will capture rainfall, slowing its descent to the ground. Roots will absorb excess rain in the ground and then goes up the tree and transevaporates. And that will result in less water ending up in the run. And the water that does get there is slower and cleaner. Slightly further south, the town owns an unused 4.5 acre woodlot composed mostly of native second generation trees. That means they're fully grown. They're between 75 and maybe 100 years old. Because full-grown trees are more effective in collecting and absorbing excess rainfall, this area is already an important feature for stormwater management for the town of Bath. By creating an arboretum, the area will be preserved into prosperity. Proposed improvements to this area, such as the initial planting of 9 understory shrubs, will in time undo damage to the forest floor caused by excessive deer grazing. The resultant leaf litter accumulation of leaf litter on the forest floor will be more absorbent for the rain that eventually does fall from the trees to the ground. And the leaf litter will eventually be converted into soil that will hold more runoff. The town of Bath and the upper watershed are already widely known for the many installations of green stormwater BMPs, attracting many environmentally concerned visitors each year. We anticipate that an arboretum will draw residents and visitors to the cemetery. A winding path from the rain garden through the tiny forest into and through the arboretum will invite people to be present in a natural green space of peace and quiet. Discreetly located QR codes will link visitors to a newly constructed tree board website page that will be attached to the town's website, where they can learn about the progress of the work being done as well as why this work is important. Eventually, 2 kiosks will be installed to further educate visitors to the park and arboretum. I have created a budget for the first year. If the finance committee and the town grant committee decide you want to go year by year, I've created a budget for the first year, and it's $9,980.78. And then I have a list of purchases or expenditures that would be done in the second year, including 2 educational kiosks, graphic design for the information on the kiosk, 3 videos for the tree board website that can be accessed by QR code, music for the videos, and signage telling people where parking is, how to get to the arboretum, and so on.
I love it.
I love it.
I love, yeah.
Love.
What's an understory shrub? Is that
If you
just
go,
short?
yeah, exactly.
Just short. Okay.
If you
It likes shade.
Oh, so it's under the,
Right.
okay,
And
okay.
if you go to a natural forest, that's what
Mhm,
happens.
mhm.
And it produces leaf litter. It's yet another layer of leaves that capture rainfall. But that area, the ground is bare. You can see the dirt. In terms of creating a path, that's going to make it fairly easy. But that's not good for the soil. It is a less good green BMP than having a more naturalized forest area.
Okay, Kate, I love this idea. Next steps coming to.
I think I'd like to go to finance. Well, you tell me which order, but it seems like,
Well, so basically the financial, isn't even like the imprint for the town is that we basically are fronting money. Is that it?
yes.
And then you're gonna, now I do want to mention, because we just recently had a significant challenge. This is federal money you're going after?
Yes.
Okay, we had a real challenge dealing with login.gov and SAM and the website and getting in there. So I would allow yourself plenty of lead time,
Okay.
to avoid the outcome that we experienced a couple weeks ago. So I just want to give you a heads up about that. But, Greg, finance first, grant committee?
I would say if we're basically, if we're advancing the $10,000 and we're under strict budget constraints for the new fiscal year, we have to pay attention to our
And
cash flow.
one of
You
the
could
things,
be advancing it as things are done.
Right.
So
it's not,
2,000, 3,000,
and
and then there would be
we
a
may
pause.
want to look at the order in which we do things. For example, the order of trees was,
Might do removal first.
we might do removal of
That's
hazardous trees.
3,600, not 36,000.
And then
Oh,
the turnaround, because this really gets to what Greg is getting at, the
Yeah.
turnaround, Kate, for getting the money back into they're telling you 4 months?
no,
He said a month.
he
but
said a month.
He said a
We're
month?
waiting. We're waiting.
Okay,
It's been 2 weeks.
okay.
Bob Hanna this is the first federal grant I've done.
Yeah.
One of the first grants I did was with West Virginia. Well, I won't say the name of the organization. I cried at the director's desk because he was not very sympathetic of somebody who has not put together grants before. So Bob Hanna has worked very closely with the tree board. He has given us a lot of input in terms of putting together this grant.
Okay.
Um,
So I think the top story is that it's a risk, but it's a mitigated risk because he's assuring you timely turnaround. So it's just about the town being able to front you money to continue these projects. And it would be going in as a town of Bath submission because the land we own and
correct.
we are the municipal
Correct.
entity under which you would be applying.
Correct.
So, okay, so today was just informational.
Today is informational. I've talked to various committees, and I'd like permission from the council to go ahead by spending some time with the finance committee and with the grants committee.
Yep.
And where I would particularly, Rebecca has given me some input, but there is language that is very specific in the grant application, and I would like to make certain that I have used that language.
The language they speak
Yes.
and respond to and
Yes.
fund. I have a resource that might be helpful to you in that regard. So let's just start with finance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start with finance
Yeah.
and then
Let's have
grants. Grants is tomorrow, but let's start with finance because the money piece is big.
Okay,
And really things are that tight. But no one's up here saying no.
Okay,
So
one-
let's just follow the process.
one thing I didn't mention is that part of this is supposed to it's supposed to provide advantages to disadvantaged people.
Right.
And and it's supposed to address health needs of disadvantaged people. So we're going to talk about the importance of a green space in an area where there isn't open green space, the importance of trees in forest for mental and spiritual health. So there's another whole segment here that I didn't feel it was necessary to mention in terms of outlining
You don't do
the grant.
income review surveys of an area.
There is a, what little test we have to take? We have to fill out some information.
Risk appropriate, so towns, just, you go through it once, they're requiring it now with the Forest Service grants.
Kate, are you still, are you still talking about developing a path that would be usable by the high school for track, or have you?
It's a possibility. I've spoken to the cross-country coach, and they lost their track due to the bypass construction. They ran on Myers Road. He's interested in another place to run. It's easily accessible from the highway. I was a little surprised when I walked a serpentine path that it is not as long as I had thought it would be. It's about a quarter of a mile. So
It
that
might be a little bit longer. I mean, you might get a half a mile out of it.
And I understand that we don't necessarily want kids running up and down the side roads of the cemetery or in and out the alleys, but they would be with a coach who can supervise what they do and make clear what the expectations are for the privilege of being able to practice in this area.
Okay, because I thought the trail that they would run was gonna be through the Arboretum.
It is,
Okay,
and
Okay.
down, of course.
Okay, well, let's move it that way.
Okay, I'll make an appointment with
Finance.
finance and then grants.
Yeah, finance in 2
Very good.
weeks. And then grants will be, the next meeting is tomorrow, but we're doing this sequentially.
Okay,
And what's the deadline for the grant application?
the 30th, did you say, Rebecca?
31st, I think.
Of May?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And we
good.
have been welcome, we have been invited to apply early, apply often.
Okay,
So,
all right, very good.
okay,
Thank you.
I think this is
I
really
do too. Look,
towards making Greenway more than a cemetery.
Well,
And
I-
it is more.
a larger goal, not necessarily a longer term goal, is if you look at the town of Bath from the train depot to the wetland, there are 10 to 14 green best management projects that could be easily duplicated by many municipalities and some even by individuals. And the Watershed Association is taking a tour of the coal fields. Surely people would be more interested in taking a tour of green best management practices. I talked to Laura Smith with Travel Berkeley Springs. She very much likes the idea of including this kind of a tour, creating a brochure that would attract people. And Rebecca said she's giving another tour to another group. You know, we did one for the mayors and so on of West Virginia. Rebecca has another tour. So I think this fits in well with the town's marketing strategy, if you will, of Berkeley Springs being a green town. And so I think it does take people to the cemetery, make them aware of the fact that it really is a very beautiful place.
And the stormwater management aspects of this too, just, because the bypass is causing problems that we are gonna be remediating for some time.
Yes.
And the time is now. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's move on to.
I have one other item with the tree board.
Okay.
Not totally almost forgot. The tree board is partnering with Warm Springs Watershed on a tree planting at the depot on April 27th. We'll have more details at the very next meeting, but I want you to get it on your calendar. We're going to ask the mayor to read the Arbor Day proclamation.
Oh, gee,
For
can't
that.
read, I graduated from. All right, yeah, once you do that, just keep me in the loop so I
We
remember
will.
the date.
We'll have more final information next meeting.
Okay, all right. Anything else for tree board before I move on?
I have one thing for tree board.
I knew it. I knew it had to be something else.
I'm always a Grinch about everything, but in this case, I think there's real value to what you're doing, and I would like to see it go a step further to the folks that own property in town, and they could add trees to their lot and that type of thing. Purchase the trees for you, or purchase the trees in bulk. Tell folks what to do, how to do it, I think that one piece is missing to increase the amount of trees that we have throughout town to help with the issues we're having with runoff
I think
water.
that's a good idea. You and I have talked about
Yeah.
putting more purple plums along Wilk Street. It must be beautiful there right now.
It is.
And the foliage is gorgeous, even when they're not blooming. And it would be possible to work with other neighbors to enter into that
Yeah,
kind of.
particularly on
thing.
Wilkes, if we even use Wilkes as an example street, and not even the front of Wilkes, but in our backs, they go all the way up to Route 9 to be able to
Right.
plant trees that'll absorb more water.
Mhm.
Right.
And
that's-
hold the soil.
And
That's
hold
very
the
killing
soil in
back
place
there.
because we have a lot of runoff from Route 9.
The Cape Ann Institute has a program where they help you purchase fairly large trees in 7-gallon pots for a very discounted price. I
And-
think it's already closed for this year,
It is, but
until
if
fall
we-
maybe, but we can have
Yeah.
Frank Rogers, the head of the institute,
And if
come
we-
and give a presentation.
Yeah, that would be
if we
great.
know there's interest in town, the Watershed Association can sponsor that.
Okay, there's definitely interest in town.
Okay.
And and I'd like to help you with that too.
Awesome.
Okay, now, are we good? We're tree board.
Loving my trees.
Let's move on to grants,
Thank
Mary.
you, Scott. Kate's presentation really underscores, along with all of the wonderful things that Rebecca and Pete are doing, that the process of getting grants for this town is really a very decentralized, hands-on effort. It is not just me and grants committee. We're getting help from the West Virginia Grant Resource Center, all the projects, streetscape projects that Rebecca's handling, the trees, all of this collectively really lifts up the town in a visibly beautiful, improved way. And I just want to lift that up for everyone's conscious appreciation right now. Right now in my portfolio, I've got, we were waiting on a grant for a couple of streetlights bookending the train depot. That is in process. We've sent a letter of interest for a website for the town. This, just even mentioning that the tree board would like to have, a segment or a more robust segment on our town website. I really want to accelerate that priority and try and find another source, because this letter of interest is, they're not even going to look at them until July. And I feel like this is a time sensitive thing. So I've moved that up in terms of trying to mine other resources to fund the complete overhaul of our town website. New on deck, there are law enforcement funding grant opportunities opening up in May. And I am working with, we have a dedicated person on the West Virginia Grant Resource Center staff who is working with me. We're going to collaborate on those. And we are also at this, well, not at the same time. I'm not allowed to do more than one at a time with her, but I can do the legwork and then just put them in the queue once she processes one and we can move on to the next. Community challenge grants. This is a EPA funded program, and they're all about sidewalks and walkability and community sustainability and just creating a very earth-friendly ecosystem where people are walking. So, and a big part of that is, getting great sidewalks and more streetscape and all those things. So those are the priorities in progress and on deck with the grants committee. Our next meeting is next Monday at 4:30, the 8th. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary. Any
We also
questions
have-
for Mary?
Well done, Mary. Thank you.
Well, there's more because Rebecca's going to talk about the USDA.
So we have, we've been talking about the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service, NRCS, watershed planning grant. It's a 100% funded grant from USDA. And I would like, we have the documents ready. NRCS has reviewed them and they look good. So I would like approval to move forward with a cooperative agreement between the United States Department of Agriculture, NRCS, and the town of Bath for the development of a Warm Springs Run watershed environmental assessment. This environmental assessment has a scope of work attached to it, which lays out all of the details that we would be looking for in a complete plan for the watershed, including projections into future growth and the amount of water that we're going to have to deal with in terms of changes in land use for the watershed. We would like approval to name Sharon Corick as our contracting officer, myself as project leader, and then our government representative would be Christy Hicks, who's the assistant state conservationist for Watershed Program in West Virginia. The budget for the cooperative agreement, fulfilling that, and the scope of work is about $500,000. It's a estimate, so give or take, depending on what we look for or what we'll end up getting after the solicitations for professional services. We won't know the price until we start reviewing the submissions, and after we select a firm, then we would discuss price, like you have to do with RFPs for professional services. So I'd ask I would make the motion to approve the cooperative agreement and the scope of work and the budget that I've outlined.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second on the floor for the agreement for the USDA NRCS funding for the watershed. Any discussion?
Well, as this, I think this is critical. And, and our neighbors, in the town of Bath and outside the town of Bath are experiencing serious water issues. And this is something we need to address now before we're buried in asphalt all the way out 522 South, and the problems are just going to be amplified. So, well done, Rebecca. This is very much needed.
Any more discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else for Grant?
We're done.
Okay. Public safety, chief?
So the town of Bath Police Department will once again be participating in the drug take-back program. That's an event that takes place twice a year. The spring event will be Saturday, April 27th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and that'll be here at Town Hall. And that will allow folks to bring in any unwanted or unused prescription drugs. They can bring them here, and they will be disposed of properly. Also, we partner with the drug take-back program, so we actually accept all year long during our business hours. So it doesn't have to be just those two events where folks can bring in those prescription drugs. We do accept those throughout the year. So there's a meeting between now and then, but we wanted to get a little bit of information out ahead of time, because if we waited until the next meeting, it would be a little bit of a short timeline to notify folks.
Bree, do you handle the Facebook?
Yes.
Yeah, if we could get a post that we could then share about that.
You
Do
did.
we have
Well,
one?
yeah, I think there was already a post that was shared. The
Okay.
police department, Sandy, had shared a post, and then
I'll look for
I
it.
had shared it from there.
Okay, I'll look for it and repost. Thanks.
This is really important because we don't want people flushing this stuff down
Ooh.
the toilet, because that goes into the waterways, and it's already been implicated in changing the sex of fish and creating other problems. Because a lot of these drugs mimic hormones, and so they can alter chemistry. And we don't want those Washington people who drink our water.
They're already doing it.
Absolutely, yeah. So here's a prime opportunity. If you have drugs that are expired or whatever, bring them to the police department on the 27th of April, chief.
Yes.
27th of April, and they can accept them and dispose of them properly.
Is there a time on that time during the day, chief?
10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
10 to 2.
And our public safety next meeting is next Wednesday, the 10th at 4 p.m.
And I have one thing for you, Chief. I was approached by one of the shops in town in regard to the Town of Bath Challenge Coin to sell as a fundraiser for law enforcement. If they retail them for $25 and sold, 100 in a year, we'd have enough to pay for, vest or two or equipment, and there's no labor And I know that Ron's getting those coins at a really good price point right now. So just some thought for you if you thought that was a good idea. Because the coins are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Do we have inventory on hand?
We don't. The first run have already sold out.
Yeah, they
Um,
did, yeah.
Yeah, so we are considering doing a second run of those coins to make them available to the public. Because the first run is pretty important, and I'm happy to say I have about 10 of them, so.
I got about 20.
Yeah.
You want to sell them? I give them out all over town if you.
But yeah, that's something that we can definitely consider.
Good, okay. Yeah, they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful.
Very, yes.
Is there any update on the installation of the new parking meters?
The new parking meters.
On the
for-
I mean, the Park Mobile, I mean.
Yeah, we have the contract that we're looking over right now. There's, I think there's a few things that Sharon wanted some clarification on the financial side of it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's moving forward. And then there's some training issues and some other internal things we
Gotcha.
gotta give some thought to. But
Okay.
yes, that's here.
Okay. Anything else? All right, let's move on to cemetery. I know we did some of it, but
Yes, we did advertise on our website and in local newspapers for a contractor for mowing. If anyone is submitting a bid, it's due by April 5th, this Friday by 5 p.m. And so that's the first thing. Second, I do want to reiterate, make it shine this Saturday, if it's not raining, from 9 to 12. And the cemetery is a particularly safe place for children because it's away from traffic. And we do have work for them to do, so we encourage parents to bring their children to that event. And what else did I have? The county commissioners did accept the cemetery committee's application for $3,000 to purchase the General Barstow sign through the Civil War Trail Organization. So they said they approved it. They can give me the money anytime I need it. So I will now submit the application, which I did not want to do until I was sure I was going to have the money. So that was also good news. And they also encouraged us to work with our committee to work with Public Works to do some more work in Green Range Cemetery during the summer. They will consider an application for equipment so we can move toward doing the work through the town and maybe seasonal help rather than maybe contractors that cost us more than we can afford. So I will be working on that application to the county commissioners and with their encouragement to do so. So that's all I have.
all right. Any questions, Beth?
And our meeting is our next meeting is the 23rd.
All right. Public Works.
Public Works, we're trying to be very careful about maintenance. Anything that's critical will get done as far as safety goes, but if we can hold it off, we'll try as long as possible. So, or only drive during the daylight. The crew's gonna get started on doing the curb painting. We have some paint on hand, so we're gonna use that up first on the most critical corners and then see what it's costing to purchase more. And hopefully we'll be able to do that. We're working on creative ways to fill the major pothole that's right at Warren and Washington Street. I believe it's on DOH right of way, so we're going to see if maybe we can get some patch job out of them. Perhaps it's interfering with the ADA ramps. And then we've got some damage from the storm on Cornelius that Public Works is going to be taking care of, and then they'll be cleaning up the remaining debris from Baltimore Alley Tree and try to see what it's going to take to rebuild that fence cost-wise. That's all. Next meeting is the next month on the 5th, or what? It's in May. It's May 7th.
Okay. All right, then let's move on to ordinance.
Ordinance. This is the most exciting part of the evening. As we will complete our second reading. Town of Bath Ordinance 2024-0210, amending in part Town of Bath Municipal Code, Chapter 62, Solid Waste, Article 2, Refuse Collection and Disposal, Section 62-28 Rate Schedule. This is effective July 1st of 2024, and these are quarterly rates. And these rates have not increased in about 20 years. The new rate for residential service, which is one pickup weekly, $48. Rate 2, commercial service, one pickup weekly, $80. Rate 3, commercial, 2 pickups weekly, $160. Rate 4, 3 pickups weekly, $240. Rate 5, commercial service, 4-yard dumpster is $540. Rate 6, commercial service, 2 pickups, 4-yard dumpster, $1,080. Rate 7, commercial service, 3 pickups weekly, 4-yard dumpster, $1,620. Rate 8, commercial service, 1 pickup weekly on a 6-yard dumpster, $630. Rate 9, 2 pickups weekly, 6-yard dumpster, $1,260. And rate 10, commercial service, 3 pickups weekly, 6-yard dumpster, $1,890. Any customer continuously exceeding their current rate charge will be reassessed at the discretion of the Refuse Collection Department. All businesses that generate food waste are required to have a minimum of 2 pickups weekly. A special pickup will be $125 per pickup truckload and is to be scheduled and paid for in advance of said pickup. The term special pickup means refuse outside the limits of regular collection and shall include items such as furniture, appliances, etc., and shall be at the discretion of the Refuge Collection Department. Conflicting ordinances. All other ordinances and parts of ordinance or amendments thereto of the Town of Bath in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance are hereby repealed. Review by council. All fees are subject to review and change as determined by the Town of Bath Town Council. And that completes reading number 2.
Do we make a motion for it?
Motion to approve.
Yep. Got to do a motion.
Motion to approve Town of Bath Ordinance, all right, we got 2 in here, 2024-02-10.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion and second for the second reading on amending 2024-02-10. Any discussion? Don't hear any discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you, colleagues. Town of Bath Ordinance 2024-0211, amending in part and adding to Town of Bath Municipal Code, Chapter 74, Taxation and Revenue, Section 74-1, Public Safety Fee, Section 74-2, Street Fee. Public safety fee, any residential property owner lessee, including but not limited to residential lots, acreage, and undeveloped property located within town limits shall be required to pay $15 per quarter as assessed in Section 62-27 of the Town of Bath Solid Waste Rate Schedule to cover a public safety fee. This revenue shall be applied to the Town of Bath Law Enforcement Department. Any commercial property owner lessee, including but not limited to residential lots, acreage, and undeveloped property located in town limits, but not limited to, acreage shall be required to pay $40 per quarter as assessed in Section 62-27 of the Town of Bath Solid Waste Rate Schedule to cover a public safety fee. This revenue shall be applied to the Town of Bath Law Enforcement Department. Street fee. Any residential property owner / lessee, including but not limited to residential lots, acreage, and undeveloped property located within the town limits is required to pay $15 per quarter as assessed in Section 62-27 of the Town of Bath Solid Waste Rate Schedule to cover a street fee. This revenue shall be applied to Town of Bath street maintenance, paving, repair, cleaning projects, and snow removal. Any commercial property owner / lessee, including but not limited to residential lots, acreage, and undeveloped property, shall be required to pay $40 per quarter as assessed in section 62-27 of the Town of Bath Solid Waste Rate Schedule to cover a street fee. This revenue shall be applied to Town of Bath street maintenance, paving, repair, cleaning projects, and snow removal. Conflicting ordinances, all other ordinance and parts of ordinance or amendments thereto of the Town of Bath in conflict with provisions of this ordinance are hereby repealed. Reviewed by Town Council. All fees are subject to review and change as determined by the Town of Bath Town Council. And that completes the second reading of ordinance 240211.
Need a motion and a second. If so moved.
I make a motion that we accept Town of Bath Ordinance 2024-02-11 for public safety fees and street fees as read.
I second.
A motion and a second on the floor for the second reading of 2024-02-11, which is public street safety fee and street fees. Any discussion?
Just a clarification, Greg, would you please clarify that these are quarterly, assessed quarterly and not monthly?
Yeah, all fees are assessed quarterly. And again, these fees have not been increased for about 20 years.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any more discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
And since that was so exciting, next week we'll be bringing forward our short-term rental ordinance and festival ordinance at the next meeting.
Okay. All right. He's such a bundle of joy, isn't he? All right. If there's nothing else for ordinance, we're gonna move on to the waterworks report. Tom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Scott. It's good to be back with you folks, but I don't know if I'm back yet. As we have been chatting this evening, yes, we are blessed to live in the town of Bath. It is beautiful. The trees, the community in a whole is amazing. But what sometimes many people forget, the real diamond in our community is the Lord Fairfax Spring. And the issues that we are facing, particularly now with the South 522 project with regards to the provision of the spring, the daily consumption, and the needs to possibly have other improvements to our water facility have become paramount to this council. I want the community to know that we will not squander the water that we have that provides such a blessing to this community. But the people that are here all understand the needs, the concerns, and the cares that need to be taken place within the Berkeley Springs Waterworks. Our next water committee meeting is going to be moved to the water plant down at the corner at 2 p.m. tomorrow at 1:30. We would invite anyone that would like to come down and to see just some of the cleanup that is transpiring at the water plant, some of the painting that's going on at the water plant, some of the removal of trash and garbage from the water plant. Mr. Mayhew has his hands full in many aspects, in many areas of our water system. At our last water committee meeting, we had a discussion with regards to the swamp program and the emergency response program. Monica White from Region 4 Health Department came and gave us a enlightening aspect as to what's going on with that program. And then Mr. Alan Marchand, the former director of the Region 4 Health Department, spoke on the emergency response plan. and what's been taking place with that. This past week, I did have a talk with Mr. Marchand, and he has offered to join with the council and the water department in putting together an accurate assumption for the Lord Fairfax Springs and the production of our water plant to help visualize the future of the water that we are producing for this community in maintaining the beauty of that water that probably there is no other place in this country that produces the raw water that we get to see come up every day. So with that being said, I would again invite any and all tomorrow to 2 o'clock to our water committee meeting at the water department. And Mayor Murphy, I am finished.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Of course, tomorrow is that meeting at the water plant. It's not here, 1:30, kind of see what's going on if you want to be a little early. And we will go from there. So anyway, come to the point in the meeting where I ask council members, is there anything else that you guys feel that needs to be brought up this evening? If not, I don't, that's our
I have
people.
one thing I did forget to bring up for cemetery. The Travel Brookwood Springs contacted me to ask if I'd be willing to do a 2-minute interview for local television on Make It Shine. And Rebecca is actually going to do it for me because I won't be available at 11 o'clock when they're going to be filming.
Great,
So,
great. That's wonderful. I don't see anybody else.
Don't forget to say town of Bath.
Yes,
Many
yes.
times it's town of Bath, town about, town about.
Well,
I will do that.
Greg is done. I want to thank Greg. He's been on the radio. I've listened to him twice so far, and he has done a great job
You need to send out an announcement ahead of time. so we can
boosting
tune in.
our community, our town, the people that work here on the council. He has done an excellent job. Lord knows I am not a personality to get on the radio. This guy has got what it takes to really show off the town of Bath, and I want to thank you, Greg, for
Very
doing
welcome.
that.
Golden tongue.
So, he's really done a great job and made everybody that not only here at this council table feel welcome, but the people that come in to us and the people that are here. So, I think we really need to continue that if they'll let you do that. Just a short 10-minute spot, and you wouldn't believe, the people, well, that new council member, he's on the radio. And I said, yeah, he's just a man for it. So thank you, Greg, for promoting our town.
Love it.
A quick PSA on that point, if you missed it in real time, they keep it on their website for a week. So you can look up the interviews. Is her name
Danielle.
Danielle?
Yep.
You can look it up. That's what I did because it was too early for me.
Right.
And you can hear it at another time that's more convenient for you.
All we
And I
gotta
believe
do,
they keep their content up to a week before then it's replaced with new stuff.
all we have to do is have Claire let us know. 'Cause I
I'll
said
get her to
that.
send something.
All right. Since there isn't anything else that needs to come before this council,
our guests, I think we killed them.
I think they decided to leave. I don't
That
know.
ordinance reading, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it just took them right down the
Well.
tube. So, all right.
Still here.
All right, I'll entertain the common consent to go into adjournment.
So moved.
All right, come by and I read these to Ollie, I'll be happy to do it for you.
Thank you.
But man, he's asleep with these.